Leave it to Angel Reese fans to somehow twist this into some kind of a diss when it was actually sort of a compliment, to be honest. But nope, somehow, some way, Angel Reese fans believe that, y'all ain't gonna believe this, believe that Sophie Cunningham, of all people, needs to name drop Angel Reese.
The WNBA just can't catch a break. And now, the latest storm has Angel Reese fans at the center of chaos again. It all started when Sophie Cunningham made what seemed like a harmless comment, suggesting Angel isn't exactly the league's biggest star.
She's a 6-foot-tall, beautiful-ass blonde. You think she needs to name drop Angel Reese for clout? You've got to be joking.
Within hours, Reese's fanbase turned social media into a war zone, accusing Sophie of jealousy, racism, and clout chasing. But here's the twist. Sophie never even dissed Angel. What she said got twisted, amplified, and turned into something much darker. And now, it's exposing just how toxic the WNBA's online culture has become.
You see this headline, quote, "Just a clout-chasing, jealous little girl." Jealous of what? Oh, but the fast food. Okay, I mean, Sophie's got an Arby contract, so yeah. I mean, what are we doing here?
It began with one short clip, Sophie Cunningham sitting casually, talking about her new diet restrictions, and joking that she might turn into a Victoria's Secret model. Then she laughed and said, "Call me Angel Reese." That's it. A harmless, lighthearted moment. But within minutes, social media did what it does best: twist, distort, and explode.
A huge one I forgot to mention is gluten, which is in every carb pretty much possible. And I know they make like gluten-free stuff, but that shit tastes weird to me. I can still eat chicken. That's good. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be kind of turning into a rabbit. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to turn into a Victoria's Secret model. Call me Angel Reese.
Reese's fans instantly claimed Sophie was mocking Angel's runway debut with Victoria's Secret. What was clearly a playful joke became a supposed attack. On one of the WNBA's most polarizing stars, comments flooded TikTok and X, calling Sophie everything from jealous to racist. Some even said she was clout-chasing Angel's fame.
She called AR a Victoria's Secret model, and y'all took that as shade. I don't get it. I really don't. That's because you're too dumb to recognize shade when you see it. If it wasn't shade, then that's one hell of a sorry compliment. She called her a Victoria's Secret model, which she is.
The problem, Sophie doesn't need clout. She's one of the league's most recognizable players, known for her fierce play, confident personality, and massive online presence. Before Angel Reese ever hit the runway, Sophie was already landing brand deals, modeling contracts, and sponsorships, including one with Arby's. She's been a visible figure long before this feud ever started. But that didn't matter to the outrage mob. They clipped her words, stripped away the context, and spread a false narrative that she was throwing shade.
Look at this. Attacked his race. You're not even black. Definitely an imposter. What? Showing love to race is trash. Nah, F off. Okay, that's their problem. Is Sophie is blonde hair, blue-eyed, white, and they think they know her political affiliation. So they hate her. Let's be real.
It's the same cycle we've seen again and again. One player makes a casual comment. Fans take it personally, and suddenly, social media becomes a courtroom. Sophie's video was supposed to be about food allergies and healthy eating. Instead, it turned into a full-blown controversy about race, jealousy, and women tearing each other down.
They are not. They're tired of Sophie latching on to any popular player for clout. Okay, well, a while back, I told you guys that I got to see some analytics on Sophie. Caitlyn, Angel, Sophie are the top 3 biggest trending players in popularity in the league. So she not needing Angel Reese for any kind of clout.
By the time Sophie even realized the storm brewing around her, the internet had already decided her guilt. It didn't matter what she meant, perception had become reality. And for Reese's fanbase, Sophie had crossed an invisible line they were eager to defend. But here's where things really took a turn, because this wasn't just about a joke anymore. It was about something much deeper.
No, they're aware of her popularity. There's probably some jealousy from those fans towards Sophie and her popularity. And I mean, you know, it is what it is. It wasn't a diss by Sophie at all. But these people aren't very smart either.
The WNBA thrives on passion, but lately, that passion has turned poisonous. What happened to Sophie Cunningham after her offhand comment about Angel Reese wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a full-blown example of how fan bases have become battlegrounds. Within hours, Sophie's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Angel Reese fans flooded her comment sections, spamming insults, racial accusations, and personal attacks. Some even sent threats, all over a single sentence taken out of context. The irony is, Sophie's "Call Me Angel Reese" comment wasn't an insult at all. It was a nod, a recognition that Angel had achieved something major by walking the Victoria's Secret runway. But the internet doesn't do nuance anymore. What could have been seen as lighthearted admiration was twisted into supposed shade. And suddenly, Sophie became public enemy number one. It's not the first time this has happened in women's sports either. Fans have built their favorite players into cult-like figures. Any criticism, joke, or even mention of them turns into an instant war. And while fan passion can grow the sport, it can also destroy it when it becomes too personal. Instead of celebrating multiple stars, social media demands that you pick sides. Are you Team Angel or Team Sophie? Team Clark or Team Reese? The division is constant. And it's making the league look more like a drama series than a professional sport. What's most disturbing is how quickly the conversation moved from basketball to identity politics. People weren't just debating the comment anymore. They were attacking Sophie's race, appearance, and even assumed her political beliefs, all without evidence. It became less about what she said and more about who she was. That's how toxic fandom works. The goal isn't truth, it's destruction. And yet, while Sophie stayed silent amid the chaos, others started speaking up, exposing what this outrage really reveals about today's WNBA culture. As the drama exploded across social media, something strange became clear. The outrage wasn't really about what Sophie said, but who said it. Because, let's be honest, if Angel Reese had made the same comment about Sophie Cunningham, fans would have called it confidence or playful banter. But when Sophie, a white outspoken player, makes a lighthearted joke, suddenly it's racist, jealous, or clout chasing. That's the double standard that's been quietly poisoning the WNBA conversation for months. Sophie's situation mirrors what other players have faced when race and popularity collide. Caitlin Clark, for instance, has been called privileged or overhyped simply for being successful and white in a league that's struggled to balance narratives around race and representation. And, just like Clark, Sophie found herself caught in that same cultural crossfire, where talent, personality, and background get mixed into something much uglier than basketball. What makes this worse is how quickly fans weaponize identity. Instead of debating stats, performance, or merit, they jump straight to assumptions about motives and politics. Sophie didn't insult Angel. She didn't even mention her performance. Yet somehow, she was painted as the villain. All because the internet decided that certain players can say and do anything without criticism, while others are instantly condemned. That hypocrisy has fractured the fan base. The WNBA's growth depends on unity, yet fans have turned it into an us versus them war that discourages open conversation. Players are walking on eggshells, scared to even mention certain names in interviews or social posts, because one slip of the tongue can destroy your reputation overnight. And here's where things get really uncomfortable. The WNBA's own media outlets and influencers have fueled this divide. Instead of diffusing tension, they amplify it, knowing full well that outrage sells. Sophie's name became clickbait gold, while the truth behind her words got buried under algorithms and agendas. The moment Sophie Cunningham's clip hit social media, it wasn't just fans who jumped on it. It was the media too. Dozens of WNBA blogs, gossip pages, and sports influencers instantly turned the joke into a scandal. Headlines screamed that Sophie had shaded Angel Reese, even though the full video clearly showed she was laughing and complimenting her. But by then, the damage was done. The story was viral. The clicks were rolling in, and nobody cared about the truth. That's the modern outrage economy, controversy first. Context never. Outlets that claimed to support women's basketball knew exactly what they were doing. They cherry-picked a single moment, stripped it of tone and intent, and used it to fuel division. Because in today's digital landscape, outrage equals engagement. The angrier people get, the more they share. And the more they share, the more money those platforms make. Sophie became the latest casualty of a system that thrives on conflict instead of conversation. This isn't new for the WNBA either. Time after time, the league's growth has been hijacked by viral moments that have nothing to do with the game itself. From fan feuds, to racial debates, to petty social media beefs, instead of celebrating the athleticism and progress of the players, people are fighting over Instagram posts and misunderstood jokes. It's entertainment, not sports journalism. And the worst part? The media's selective silence when the tables turn. When Angel Reese mocked Caitlin Clark or threw shade at other players, the coverage was playful and supportive. She's just confident. But when Sophie says something even remotely edgy, she's labeled a mean girl. That hypocrisy doesn't just divide fans, it shapes the entire perception of the league. Sophie's controversy wasn't a story about hate. It was a story about how quickly narratives can be twisted when drama makes headlines. But things were about to get even more chaotic because Sophie's silence didn't mean surrender. While the internet tore her apart, Sophie Cunningham did something unexpected. She said nothing. No apology, no explanation, no defensive post. She simply stayed silent. And that silence spoke louder than any tweet could. Fans waited for her to clap back, but instead, Sophie kept training, kept showing up, and kept posting about basketball. That's when something interesting happened. The backlash started to boomerang. People began realizing the outrage had no real foundation. The more they replayed the clip, the more obvious it became there was no insult, no shade. Just a joke blown completely out of proportion. Even some Angel Reese supporters began quietly backing off, admitting the reaction had gone too far. But by then, the damage was done. Sophie had already been dragged across every platform, painted as the villain in a story she never asked to be part of. Yet her silence revealed something powerful: confidence. She didn't chase sympathy or beg for forgiveness because she knew she hadn't done anything wrong. That calm composure started to shift the energy. Sports analysts began revisiting the video, breaking down how fan bias had shaped the whole situation. Commentators from independent platforms started calling out the double standard if the roles were reversed. The media narrative would have been completely different. Even fans outside the WNBA bubble took notice, questioning why social media. Outrage seems to hit certain players harder depending on who they are. Sophie's quiet response ended up being her strongest move. She didn't play the victim card, didn't feed the fire, she just let the truth breathe. And when the noise finally started to die down, people noticed something else. Sophie's popularity had actually grown. More followers, more engagement, and more respect from those tired of online drama. Her silence had flipped the script, but the real storm was still brewing, because the controversy had exposed something much bigger about the WNBA itself. The Sophie Cunningham controversy pulled back the curtain on a problem. The WNBA has been avoiding for years the lack of control over its own narrative. Instead of the league stepping in to calm the chaos or clarify what really happened, officials stayed silent, letting social media dictate the story. That silence spoke volumes. It showed how much power the online mob holds and how little protection players have when false narratives spiral out of control. The WNBA loves to promote unity, diversity, and empowerment. But when players are attacked, harassed, or racially profiled online, the response is often non-existent. In Sophie's case, she was vilified for something that wasn't even offensive. Yet the league did nothing to defend her or set the record straight. Compare that to how quickly the league celebrates moments of controversy when they bring attention or clicks. It's selective outrage, and it's hurting the credibility of the game. This isn't just about Sophie or Angel Reese, it's about a system that feeds off drama to stay relevant. The WNBA has incredible athletes, growing fan bases, and historic momentum. But instead of building its image around performance, it's letting personality wars dominate headlines. Every week, there's a new feud, a new shade post, a new viral argument. It might get attention in the short term, but it's eroding respect for the sport itself. Fans are noticing. Sponsors are noticing. Even casual viewers are questioning whether the WNBA is more about basketball or gossip. And as long as the league avoids confronting this toxic cycle, it will continue to alienate potential supporters who just want to see the game thrive. Sophie's situation was a wake-up call, a reminder that silence from leadership only amplifies division. But while the league tried to move on quietly, something unexpected was happening behind the scenes. Players themselves began to speak out, tired of being pawns in a social media circus. As the Sophie Cunningham drama continued to ripple through the league, more players started breaking their silence. They had seen this movie before, one comment taken out of context, fans twisting it, and suddenly someone's reputation is on the line. But this time, some of Sophie's peers weren't afraid to call it out. Privately and publicly, players began expressing frustration with the WNBA's toxic culture of instant outrage. Many of them admitted they were scared to speak freely online because they knew the mob could turn on anyone, at any time. One veteran guard reportedly told a podcast host, "You can't even joke anymore without someone clipping it and calling you a villain." Others echoed the same concern that the WNBA's growth was being overshadowed by fan wars, not basketball. The league had finally built momentum, with stars like Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, and Angel Reese bringing new eyes to the game. But instead of uniting fans, social media was dividing them. Every highlight, interview, and tweet was being dissected for hidden shade. Sophie's situation became a rallying point. Players who normally stayed quiet about online drama began liking or sharing posts, defending her. Some subtly posted messages about empathy, others about context and fairness. Even journalists and commentators started pushing back, saying the sport can't thrive if every conversation turns into a personal attack. And the fans noticed. The same platforms that once fueled the outrage started to shift tone. More users began questioning why women's BASKET/BALL can't have the same playful rivalries and banter that the NBA does. Why everything had to turn into a cancel moment. By standing firm and refusing to feed into the drama, Sophie had unknowingly become a symbol of resistance. She showed that players could take back control of the narrative by simply refusing to engage with hate. But just when the controversy seemed to calm, a new twist reignited the debate, one that would shake the league's reputation even further. Just when it seemed like the outrage had faded, new information surfaced that completely flipped the narrative. A longer version of Sophie Cunningham's original clip began circulating unedited, uncut, and with full context. In the full video, Sophie clearly laughed while praising Angel Reese's athleticism, mentioning that walking the Victoria's Secret runway took confidence and discipline. She wasn't mocking Angel, she was admiring her. But that crucial detail had been cropped out by fan accounts chasing viral clicks. The truth had been sitting there the whole time, buried under selective editing and blind outrage. Once the unedited version spread, the tone on social media started shifting. Commenters who had attacked Sophie quietly deleted their posts. Even some influencers who originally criticized her began backtracking, admitting they had misread the tone. The same people who branded her as jealous or racist suddenly realized they'd been part of a manufactured narrative, one built for views, not truth. This was the twist no one saw coming. Sophie never had to defend herself. The evidence did it for her. Fans began asking the hard questions. Who benefits when drama like this goes viral? Why do media outlets rush to post misleading headlines before checking facts? And how many other players have been unfairly dragged through the mud just for existing in the spotlight? The clip's reemergence not only cleared Sophie's name, but also highlighted a bigger problem: how easily digital manipulation can destroy reputations. It became a wake-up call for fans and journalists alike. Not every trending topic deserves outrage. In the end, Sophie walked away with her reputation intact, maybe even stronger. The same mob that tried to bury her ended up boosting her visibility. And as the league tried to quietly move past the mess, one undeniable truth remained. In today's WNBA, perception spreads faster than reality. And sometimes, the only way to win is to stay silent and let the truth surface on its own. The Sophie Cunningham Angel Reese saga was never really about one comment. It was about how isolated truth gets lost in the noise. What started as a harmless joke spiraled into weeks of hate, hypocrisy, and media manipulation. Yet through it all, Sophie's calm silence became her greatest weapon. She didn't argue, didn't backtrack, she let the facts speak. And in the end, the outrage faded while her reputation stood taller than ever. The lesson. In today's WNBA, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Because sometimes the smartest response to chaos is none at all.